What do we got, Holbrook?
We got 2 murder victims, each with a single gunshot wound to the head. Looks like your typical drug deal gone wrong.
Any shot casings?
No, sir, we got none. Just the dead guys.
Alright, I'm heading back to the office.
See ya.
Good morning, Mr. Johnson. Let's get right to the questions.
I didn't do anything wrong, man.
Then why did you run?
'Cause you were chasing me. I didn't kill him, but I saw it happen.
Alright then, please describe the scene you were witness to last Wednesday.
It was cold, man. It was cold. I was just trying to sleep, you know, man. I heard one of them gunshots, and I heard them all the time in the city, but this one was closer. So I saw him. What did I see? I see these 2 men fall to the ground. I see a man running away from a briefcase. I yell at him, you know? And he's like, hey, man, those people are dead. You got a murder on your hands. But you just kept running. I got to the people and they were dead. I checked them, man. I checked them and I knew God had to help them. Because I couldn't do nothing. I moved my blanket to another place and didn't want to be lying there in the blood, you know?
Could you please describe the man you saw running away?
A man, maybe in his late 20s. He was tall, like 5'10" or something. He was wearing a hat and a fedora and a trench coat.
Any other information you can provide?
That's all I remember, sir.
Thank you for your time. We'll contact you if we have any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yo, what are you guys doing? Stop touching my stuff. You guys are gonna break something. By the way.
I think you got something for me.
How about a please? I'm so underappreciated around here.
Walter.
Jeez, you guys are no fun around here. Alright, we have 2 bullets from a Glock 22. The killer used a silencer and was most likely standing between 5 and 7 feet away.
Results back yet?
They sure are. And boy, do they have a lot to say. Both victims had trace amounts of cocaine in their system. Yikes.
Ooh, they bad!
Our first victim has been identified as Drake Sampson, and our second is none other than Eric Stevenson, CEO of Springfield Stock Exchange Corporation.
You're the man, Walter. Thanks, Walt.
I can't seem to find Mr. Johnson's suspect description. Are you sure you added it in after the interview?
I must have forgotten.
Okay, I'll add that now.
But I mean, can we really trust a random homeless guy? I wouldn't say he's a super credible source.
That's true. I'll note that he lacks credibility on the document.
Hey, guys. So we'd like to ask you a few questions about an ongoing investigation.
Sure. Of course. Yeah. Come on in. Yeah, you guys can just have this.
Thank you.
Would you guys like something to drink or something?
Please.
Yeah, you got any tea?
Yeah, I do. There you guys go.
Thank you. So are you currently employed?
No, I just lost my job at Springfield Stock Exchange. Currently looking for another job.
Did you quit or were you fired?
Yeah, I was fired by my supervisor, Eric Stevenson.
About how long ago did you lose your job?
It was about a week ago.
Have you talked to Mr. Stevenson at all since then?
No, sir.
Mr. Stevenson passed away last Wednesday. Were you aware of this?
Oh my goodness. I can't believe he's dead. Am I a suspect?
Well, unfortunately you are, given your connection to the victim, but we'd like to cross your name off that list. You mind if we have a look around your house?
Of course. Go ahead. I have nothing to hide.
Thank you.
Fantastic tea, by the way.
So, Mr. Applebottom, can anybody confirm your whereabouts on the night of April 20th?
Of course, I live with my girlfriend Chelsea Parker. We were watching Scooby-Doo.
Holbrook, come on and check this out.
What do you got?
Got a potential murder weapon.
Hey, you should be using your gloves.
Oh, forgot.
Thank you for your time. We'll be in touch.
Thank you for coming in today, Miss Parker. We just have a couple questions about your boyfriend.
Oh, of course. I'll do anything I can to help clear Randy's name. When I heard Mr. Stevenson was dead, I just knew I had to come in.
Were you with Mr. Applebottom between the hours of midnight and 2 a.m. on April 20th?
Heck yeah, it was the night I finally beat him at Mario Kart.
You were playing video games?
Yeah, that's what I just said. We played until we both fell asleep at like 6 a.m. on the couch.
Thank you for the information, Miss Parker. We'll be in touch if we have any other questions.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Detectives, what can I do for you?
Sir, you're under arrest.
Sir, can you step out here? Sir, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you.
I can't believe this.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Calling the case of the people of the state of Illinois versus Applebottom. Are both sides ready?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, the defendant has been charged with 2 counts of murder in the first degree. The evidence will show that a gun was used on April 20th of 2016. 4 days later, the defendant was arrested with a weapon matching this description at his place of residence. The defendant was recently fired by one of the victims, giving him motive, and has no alibi for the time of death. The evidence I present will prove to you that the defendant is guilty as charged.
What is a genotype?
Buddy, you'll be fine. I got this. Your Honor, under the law, my client is innocent until proven guilty. You'll see in this court case that there's absolutely no evidence that makes my client liable for this crime. Your Honor, you're going to come to know the truth that my client, Mr. Applebottom, was fully cooperative with law enforcement. Let him search his house without a warrant, didn't even contact me, his lawyer, and was fully cooperative, like I stated before. That's why I think that he should be found not guilty of this crime.
The prosecution may call its first witness.
The people call Detective Shufflebottom to the stand. Detective Shufflebottom, please describe the relationship between Mr. Stevenson and the defendant.
Mr. Stevenson was Mr. Applebottom's supervisor. But Mr. Applebottom was fired about a week before the murder.
Why was Mr. Stevenson at the park on April 20th?
We assume it was a drug deal. Blood test results came back on both the victims. Positive for traces of cocaine.
Ooh, they bad!
Thank you. We will now call Detective Holbrook to the stand. What was Mr. Applebottom's alibi for that evening?
His girlfriend was his alibi. He said that they were watching the new Scooby-Doo movie, but when we went to talk to her, she gave a contradictory statement. She said that they were playing Mario Kart until 5 or 6 a.m. until they fell asleep on the couch.
So, in other words, the defendant had motive, no alibi, a weapon matching the weapon description, and matched a witness's description as well?
That is correct.
Objection! You're trying to make my boyfriend look bad.
Order, order. That is overruled. Ma'am, please sit down or I may have to remove you from this courtroom.
Your Honor, you can see Mr. Applebottom is guilty as charged. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we will turn this case over to the defense. Mr. West?
The prosecution has strong evidence, but it can all logically be dismissed. To begin, Mr. Applebottom has not talked to his supervisor since he lost his job. He has been too busy looking for another job opening, and yes, he does own a Glock 22, but those are the most common guns in the United States. Just because he owns one, this doesn't automatically make him a cold-blooded killer. And as for the witness's description, the defendant does not own a trench coat, and the only hat that somewhat matches the description is Exhibit A. This is clearly not a fedora. Your Honor, I would like to call the defendant to the witness stand.
Approved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Applebottom, will you please describe your activities on April 20th, 2016 for me, please?
My girlfriend and I began watching a Scooby-Doo movie around 9 p.m. It was over around 11, and after that we played Mario Kart until the morning. Both fell asleep on the couch.
So you watched a movie and played video games that night, correct?
Yes, sir.
And do you own a Glock 22 firearm?
Yes, sir, but it's never been used. I use it in case of a home invasion for peace of mind.
Have you spoken to your supervisor since you lost your job?
No, sir.
You got any ill wishes against the guy?
No, sir.
Do you own any sort of weird leather trench coat, Mr. Applebottom?
No, sir.
Do you have any other hats other than the one that was presented as Exhibit A in the evidence?
No, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Applebottom. That's all the questions. And I would like to call the defendant's significant other, Miss Chelsea Parker, to the stand. Ms. Parker, could you please state your relationship with the defendant?
I'm his girlfriend and we live together.
The defendant stated that you two watched a movie and played video games on the night of April 20th, 2016. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And why did you say that you only played video games in the interrogation?
Well, they asked what I was doing between midnight and 2 a.m. We watched the movie earlier.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. The defense rests, Your Honor.
I will now deliberate, and when I return, I will give my final verdict.
Where?
Oh. I have reached my decision. I,
don't know.
the judge, find the defendant guilty on both accounts of murder in the first degree.
Holbrook.
What's up, Gillies?
Gun residue test results are back, and the bullet didn't come from Randy's gun. His gun wasn't even fired once.
Huh. Thanks.
It was you.
I never meant for this to happen, let alone more than once. But now that I've started, I just can't stop.
I smell it. See, I knew someone was wrong.
And that's now a blooper.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right. Oh,
Action.
Good video. What do we?
I don't know.
Go.
Okay.
Alright, wasn't my part.
I don't know who's next.
It's my part? Yeah.
You okay?
It's not working. The thing's not working.
What do we got, Holbrook? Wins good, guys.
My line after that. Ongoing investigation.
Hey guys.
Ongoing investigation.
Guys.
Sir, sir, you have the remote.
Murder weapon.
Thank you. We'll be in touch.
Your Honor, Your Honor, under the law.
You gotta redo it. She's gone. She was gone. She was absolutely gone.
I'm sorry. Oh, I'm really lightheaded now.
It's so loud next to the camera. So it's like yeah, she was gone.
Let that.
I'm sorry. I looked at Owen and I.
Stop. Look at you. You're so dorky.
No! No!
What?
That's our loss. That's our loss.
Oh my god. I thought she was like.
No! No! No!
Really getting into my roles here.
I mean, he's a greasy attorney. He's a greasy lawyer. He's got to read up on some grease.